And we are going to start by placing a slip knot to the peg on the right of the anchor. So you see the anchor peg, and I'm going to attach it to the one to the right. And then I'm going to do the E-wrap cast on. The E-wrap cast on is wrapping each individual peg in the form of a tiny letter E. So you start at the very first and work your way around. Make sure that you wrap each individual peg until you get back to where you started. Okay, so I've made my way back to the anchor peg, and now I'm going to do the same exact thing all the way around, making tiny little E's. So there's going to be 2 loops of yarn. Okay, now we're back to where we started. I'm going to take my loom knit tool and wrap the bottom over the top. And this time I'm going to start on the left and go around because my working yarn finished on the left, so I want to make sure I secure that. So again, I'm taking the bottom loop over the top. And I'm doing this on each peg until I get back to where I started. I'm making my way around and I'm almost back to the anchor peg. Okay, now I'm going to push down on all the pegs. I'm going to just make sure that those are pushed down and secure, and then I'm going to start wrapping again, doing the same thing. We're doing the E-wrap stitch, and we're going to continue doing this for 3.5 inches. So you want to have your tape measure and just continue doing this E-wrap stitch until you reach about 3.5 inches. Okay, I've done my 3.5 inches, and now I'm going to start matching my loops up because we're going to fold it over like a brim of a hat. So the easiest way is to start by where you had your slip knot and see the working yarn, and then there is the slip knot. So you want to attach at the beginning of the anchor peg that loop to where your working yarn is and where the anchor peg is at the very start of your work. Each individual loop you'll want to put over, and I'm going to move my hand here and Try and give you a better look. Okay, see where at the end of the yarn there's a loop on each one. You want to take that over and attach it to the peg. And you'll want to work your way around. Each peg should have one. And it, like I said, it's easy to see at the end. And if you've ever made a hat, you'll understand what I'm saying by the brim of the hat. And even if you haven't made a hat, it's easier to see when you're doing it. You'll see what I mean, the loop. So you just want to put that over. Work your way around. Okay, I'm finishing up and I'm coming back to my anchor peg. Leave your working yarn on the outside just like that and take your last loop. Well, we have one more loop after this. Right there. See? So now we're going to take our looming hook and again we're going to take the bottom over the top. So we're going to do the same exact thing. Alright, and we are all finished doing that. So now we're going to continue wrapping. So I'm going to do the E-wrap. Again, we're back to the E-wrap, really simple stitch, and we're going to do this for 4 more inches. So again, make sure you have your tape measure, and we're going to do the E-wrap stitch for 4 more inches. I'm going to keep going until I have my 4 inches. Okay, my 4 inches are done, and now we're going to start working on the thumb. Now we're going to start to the right of the anchor peg, and instead of doing an E-wrap, we're going to do a U-wrap, or a U-stitch, excuse me. On each individual peg, we're going to do the letter U. It's very similar to the E-wrap, but we're not going to take the working yarn the entire way around the peg. So we're going to make a U on each peg and then take the bottom over the top, making our stitch. So we're going to do this the entire way around. And then instead of continuing around the loom like we did with the E-wrap, we're going to wrap the other way with our stitches once we get to the anchor peg, and I will show you exactly what I mean when we get there. It's going to be a little different, and what this is going to do is create our thumb hole. Sometimes the stitch can be a little tight, but normally it should be okay, but don't worry if it is. We want it it's going to be a little bit more tighter than the E-wrap stitch, because this is where our hand is. So continue doing this U-wrap stitch until you get to the anchor peg, and then I will show you what to do next. Okay, I am finishing up. I'm back to my anchor peg. This is my last U-stitch. So I'm going to knit that over. And now instead of continuing around, we're going to go the other way. So I'm going to take my working yarn, and I'm going to show you in slow motion here exactly what I mean. You're not going to stitch on the first 2 when you're turning. So since we're turning and we're going the opposite way, I'm going to skip that first peg to the left of the anchor peg right there. I'm going to skip it, and I'm going to do the U-wrap on the next peg over instead of that peg. So again, I'm going to skip the first peg and do the U-wrap around to the other side, and then I'm going to knit back around. Again, I'm not going to continue in a round circle yet. I'm going to knit back and forth. We're going to do this for 6 rows. So I will show you when we get to the other side on how I do the other side without knitting it, so you understand. And if you're confused, leave me a comment. But again, we're not going to knit those first 2 pegs when we're turning. So again, I'm finishing up. I'm going to go in slow motion so you can see exactly what I mean. And here's my last peg that my last U-stitch. I'm knitting over. So here again, there's our anchor peg to the right. I'm not going to knit that stitch. I'm going to go to the stitch beside it. Okay, so now I'm going back the other way, and again I'm doing my U-stitch over each peg until I get to the other side, and then I'm going to continue that for 6 rows. Okay, we have finished our thumb, and now we are going to finish our mitten. The final step is to E-wrap around in a circle again. So this time we're going to continue our circle, and we're going to wrap for 10 more rows. So make sure you're either using your stitch counter or marking down on paper. You'll want to wrap for 10 more rows. This project really does go fast. You may need to pause, rewind, and that's totally fine. I really do like it, and I hope that you like it as well. So if you have any problems or questions, please feel free to leave me a message. You can message me, comment down below. I'm always happy to help. So continue doing your E-wrap stitch all the way around for 10 more rows, and I'll meet you back here. Okay, we're going to start our bind off, and we're going to wrap the peg to the left. Then we're going to take that peg off, put it on the peg beside it, and then knit over. Okay, I'm going to show you again. Take that off, put it on your empty peg. Then we're going to wrap the one next to it. Take that off, put it next on the right, knit over. Take that loop off the peg, place it on the empty peg to the left, pull your working yarn, again knit over, Take that off to the right, knit over, take your loop off and place it on the empty peg. You'll want to continue this the entire way around, doing the same process. It creates almost like a crochet look to the top of your mitten. So again, we are binding off. I'm going to bind off nice and slow so you can see exactly what I'm doing. If you get confused, have any questions, just let me know and I'll do what I can to try and help. So I'm just going to continue going around until I get to the end, and then I'll show you what to do. Alright, we are at the final stitch. So we're going to wrap, knit over, pull your working yarn, knit over, Push that down. Then we are going to take a pair of scissors and cut the working yarn. Then pull it off the loop. Take your working yarn and put it right through that loop. Pull on it and it'll knot itself. Now we're going to take our darning needle and sew the loose end into our mitten. Once you weave your yarn into the mitten, you'll just want to take a pair of scissors and cut the loose end off. This pattern is universal, so you can use it on your right and left hand. So the pattern's the same for both. So see, I'm putting it on both hands. And you can add buttons, ribbons, whatever you'd like, customize it however you wish. And I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a like and subscribe for more videos, and I appreciate you watching.